Oh, okay, guys. So here's something interesting. You know how the election is upcoming and the parties are like doing their promises and their documents. I was looking at such documents, and one of the parties want to put like mandatory coding classes in middle schools, like the transition between elementary and middle school. And that was interesting to me because like how did we come to a point where that is seen as a need to the point where you would put that in a like election document as a promise? Isn't that weird?
It is weird. Obviously, I can talk all day about how they are going to be able to put computers in every school and do actual things, or how ridiculous it would be to teach coding on paper. But those aside, even if we assume that will work somehow, I still have questions. I actually had a class about computers in my elementary school, and it was more about how to use Word and PowerPoint and word art.
When was this around? Like 2000s, I assume?
I mean, obviously, you want me to show how old I am?
I mean,
And the answer is yes, it was about 2000s.
yeah, because it was for me too. It was the first time the computers were kind of introduced into general public, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we had Windows XP in the classes.
Yeah.
So you can date it like that. That would be the way to.
I mean, we didn't have a home computer when I was taking a computer class in elementary school. And they didn't have people proficient in computer teaching. Like they didn't have a teacher for that. So it would be the homeroom teacher who knew about computers as much as you did if you had a computer at home.
I was so lucky.
So that was so funny. But yeah, we had like XP computers. We quote unquote learned how to use Word, which is they taught us how to open Word and then close Word and how to save documents.
And change it, make WordPress. I remember that with colorful fonts and graphics.
No, you are saying WordPress, but what you mean is word art. WordPress is the thing you use for website building.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, word art.
They didn't even teach us word art.
Oh, we did website building too. I remember now. We learned HTML.
Jesus Christ.
Let me tell you, we did website building too, but with two caveats. One, we used Publisher, Microsoft Publisher. And two, it wasn't a class. It was me and few of my friends hijacking the computer laboratory in breaks and doing it on our own.
Because
we did.
I was like, what the hell you were ongoing?
I mean, Microsoft had this thing called Publisher.
No, I know that.
We did brochures.
I don't even think Publisher is a thing now, right?
It's not. I was so sad when it was gone because like they taught us how to make brochures in Publisher. But when I was in high school, when I wanted to make a brochure, it wasn't around anymore.
It was dead. It was buried.
Yeah, that's what Publisher is. But it's dead. It was very good and it's dead.
Yeah, right next to Skype. In the Microsoft grave.
For me, it kind of like makes sense a little bit to, I mean, I'm not sure if it should be mandatory, but idea of each public school having a computer laboratory where people can actually enter the laboratory and use the computer and learn like coding from actual teachers who know codes and how to code and kind of know how to teach coding to kids. Like that's in theory sounds great because not everybody can access these information. I guess even though everything is still on internet, it's still not really common, I would say. Especially, like when you're learning writing, when you're learning math, it's not the priority to learn coding in the education system, I would say.
Well, there's that, but there's also like, we're talking about like a kid who's around middle school, elementary school age. They're not going to know how to judge how valuable it is to learn this.
True. Yeah.
when it's especially when it's mandatory, and it's just the jump, like the jump within the last like decade is just so weird to me, because like I was in a STEM course and we had like first year mandatory coding class in university, but that was it. We learned basic C functions. You passed the class, you were done, and you did not have to take any other like
It is the
coding.
class that it's a very important class. It is the class that have taught the world a concept called binary while coding.
Yeah. yes. I mean, but like you didn't have to. Like in my I was in the industrial engineering program, and I didn't have to take any other specific coding, learning to code classes apart from like that class.
Mhm.
So it is just weird to me that was like 10 years ago. Oh my God, I'm old. That was 10 years ago. And now people are saying coding classes in like middle school, elementary school. Like, what has the word come to?
They have really big, claims when they say everybody should learn coding.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm not saying this is going to happen 100%, even if they win, because like this is an election promise.
Yeah, like, and it's not even just in Turkey.
But it is interesting that is the mindset, that this is a promise that can be made.
No, I was just saying, I remember it's not just like a Turkey thing. Like, I remember Barack Obama was like out and like, we need to teach coding to kids, but especially girls. Like, there was these kind of like propaganda conversations and inviting smart girls who knows coding and they're 8 years old to White Palace. Wait, how do you say that?
No, not Palace House.
White House.
So I do like, it's always been a big promise that it's the future, it's the new language that everybody should learn. Spanish, no, you need to learn coding, but nobody refers to which coding language. So there's always this like, but which one? I don't know.
I mean, there's a certain point to it. First of all, let me tell you, Elif, this is actually not a new thing. This is as long as there had been computers, there were politicians saying we should teach kids how to use computers and we should teach kids how to do coding. But before trying to understand the validity of wanting this, that whether society would benefit, I want to make a very quick point.
Is the secret answer child labor?
No. Something completely else. Did you know that elementary school students can't vote?
Yes.
So with that in mind, let me ask you this question. When a politician says, I want to teach elementary school children how to do coding, who do you think they are trying to appeal to?
The families.
Oh, no.
Yes. In fact,
really?
No, you are wrong. I know what you are going to say. You are going to say tech companies want cheap labor.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was my guess.
That may indeed be true, but tech companies, in fact, are a very small percentage of the voting base. Who they are appealing to is actually families. And I'm going to argue what the families think is, I, as the family, am living in a middle-class life. I want my children to have a better life than I have right now.
Social mobility.
And I don't know coding. The person in the Midwestern Ohio is thinking, I don't know coding. And it looks like people who do coding earn a lot of money. So if my child learns how to code, they are thinking, then they will be able to have a lot of money as well. So what the politicians essentially saying when they are saying, I will teach kids how to code is, dear parents, I am going to make sure that your children are going to have a better income expectancy than you do. By teaching them something that you don't know and that you heard somewhere creates jobs that pay well. Of course, obviously, if everybody knows coding, that won't be the case. But the promise isn't about information of coding. The promise is about a better living standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which politician is tricking the parents into believing that will come as a result of knowing how to code.
And I think you're right. It's so directly I would assume for the middle class, right? Like it's kind of targeting that kind of population who know what it means to code, and like they have that slight network around them, saw that people who knew in IT or technology, whatever, earned a little bit more for the things they do. Whereas for a more, let's say, agriculture poorer class, it wouldn't be the case, I would assume, because it's the environment that they're living in. I'm right now thinking a village next to a rural area who are heavily invested in agriculture. They're like they are not saying, I'm going to put a mandatory agriculture engineering class into elementary school, which could be even more beneficial in the long term for Turkey's end, because we are technically agriculture country, but no, it's decoding the future. So it's not localized at all.
First of all, we aren't an agricultural country. Our economy is 50% service based. So that's actually like most of the European countries, we are a service-based economy at this point. That was the case earlier in the
like when we were learning about Turkey.
First part of 20th century, we were an agriculture-focused economy.
Yerli malı, yurdum malı. Herkes onu kullanmalı.
I don't even think there is such a country in the world, by the way. I don't think there is a country that has a majority agriculture-based economy in the world. I don't think such a country exists at this technology level. But that aside, let me also make this point. Whenever a politician comes out and says the children should learn how to code, I always think the same thing. This person doesn't understand what coding is. Like, I don't want to diss Barack Obama. Obviously, his career has gone better than mine. Although he had a head start of a few years in front of me, like maybe in his age I will be even. Obviously, I can never be the first black president of anywhere, but like I can maybe be the first.
Different reasons.
Yeah, like because I'm not black or American citizens, and non-American citizens famously cannot be president.
Yeah.
And but like maybe I would do something else. But like at this point, his career is going better than me. So I'm not gonna diss him anyway. But
since we established that.
He's a lawyer. He was a lawyer before going into politics.
Yeah.
And like similarly, our guy was a manager in an insurance company, government-run insurance company.
Which one?
The insurance company, the government-run one. SGK.
No. Who was that?
The person who promised the elementary school for this election cycle in Turkey. And the other one was, I think, fabric seller, like fabric trader.
Vendor.
No. He brought it to, like, he did the logistic part to vendors, just persons, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, those people aren't coders. Like, I mean, maybe they used an Excel table in their life a few times, but they haven't done a proper serious coding. When I say serious coding, what I really mean is professional coding, like earning your living out of coding, like
being a developer, like
hacker voice. I'm in.
Being in a job that people pay you in order you to come in every day and write codes is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like maybe you are the business owner, so it's like, but you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't necessarily say if your job is entering data and you wrote a small computer program that makes it easier, that's not a coding job. That's a job that you can do by getting help from coding. But like they wouldn't have worked in such a job. So they don't really understand what coding does to a person.
Yeah.
And what coding does to a person is it turns you into me. Actually, this has nothing to do with the main topic, but let me quickly tell. When I was working as an engineer, and obviously what I did was coding mostly, there was this person, a visitor to the company, and I came out from where I was sitting, and I am slightly weighted. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, I thought this person only existed in movies." He was talking about me.
Oh my God.
That I was this computer hacker type of person.
Jesus Christ.
Man.
Coding converts, takes a very healthy person like Elif and converts you into me.
Jesus.
Oh my
But
God.
I think, Izel, you had coding classes while you were in elementary school, so maybe you should.
Yeah. Your classes sound much more informative than any.
Like you experienced yourself, like, you were the kid who needed the coding class and you got it. And how was your life? Are you earning more? Are you did you had an upwards mobility in your class?
We are really leaning into Izel is the youngest angle here, huh?
Well, I had computer classes from 5th grade or 4th grade. 4th grade. 4th grade to 7th grade. We had an actual computer teacher during most of the time until 7th grade. In the 7th grade, the PE teacher was coming to computer classes.
Definitely knows about coding. You have to code your muscles first.
And that year was like, it was a flop. Like we only did, it was like empty class.
Womp womp.
There was no lecture kind of class. Like there was only exams, 2 exams, and it was like the teacher was asking what is a mouse, what is a keyboard, and such. In the 4th grade, I don't remember why, but 2 classes came together to get to the computer class. We had an actual computer room, and there was 1 computer for each 2 to 3 students.
Oh.
And first we started with like Word program, and we did Word, PowerPoint, Office programs, etc. Then we opened. I don't remember what we did with them, but we had email accounts. But I didn't open one for myself. That's also another funny story. Then I think it was the 5th grade. We were introduced to Visual Basic. I'm thinking it was Visual Basic because I tried to install it on my home computer too, and I failed. I don't know why.
Oh no.
I might know why. But in that class, I remember making a program that calculates if you were getting. I didn't think I would have explained this in English. Teşekkür takdir belgesi. Can someone help me?
Like
Merit and high merit.
Yeah, you would get.
The exact concept is in the university about whether you get 3.0 and 3.5. You get 2 different documents.
It was something like this, and
honor, not merit, honor and high honor.
All right. I made a program that you would input your exam results or other points in that class, so it would calculate whether you were getting honor or high honor. Then we also did just a tiny bit of HTML. We made like simple websites, like it only had a 1 header and a short text, and we made a little form that looks like the login form, but it did nothing because it was only HTML.
Oh my God, it's my university's website and registry time.
Oh no. And I don't remember if everyone was doing everything in the class, but I I did those, and we also had textbook. And I remember going back at home. I would look at the computer textbook and do the exercises on my own too. That was our computer class. It was the most fun class I remember. And now, where I am, I do nothing with those information. Just like I do nothing with the mitosis and meiosis. I don't remember it in English.
No, it's meiosis. You are on to.
I like how you took a pause between I do nothing about this information.
Yeah, like I do a little bit of help to Can Deniz's coding work.
Here's the thing. As the person who taught you how to do those things, I can wholeheartedly say you started by knowing nothing about programming. So
yeah.
if you had anything, if you brought anything from elementary school, that wasn't evident there.
Yeah.
But I also think one thing you can ask yourself is, while I was doing research for this episode, I have found that most proponents of teaching young kids how to program often cite that it would teach you things like algorithmic thinking ability.
What?
So I'm going to ask Izel, are you better at algorithmic thinking than your peers? Like, if you and Elif came into an algorithm duel, would you win?
What the hell is algorithmic thinking ability?
Like, you know how you sometimes do things and those things result in other things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Please continue. I mean, I have a better explanation. I'm going to give it later, but Izal.
As I said, I don't remember learning about the word algorithm. I remember that I asked my cousin what is an algorithm, and he told me to bring a glass of water for him. I brought it, then he said, tell me the steps you did to bring that glass. That's how I learned.
Nice.
So I can't forget this. And this was way later.
You are the algorithm, Isa.
The algorithm was inside you all along.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, seriously, what do they mean by algorithmic thinking ability? Because it just sounds like buzzwords.
I mean, it is buzzwords because what they really mean is procedural thinking, not algorithmic thinking. But let me give a brief tangent about that algorithmic thinking concept. You know, the phrase algorithm actually comes from an Arabic scholar called Al-Khwarizmi, something like that.
I believe so.
What he found was essentially he haven't found, obviously, because these things were going around, but it was a mathematical procedure. He found a way to write down procedures you would use to compute things. Like from the ancient Greek times, there is a procedure to find square roots. I think it's Greek. It may not be Greek. I might be remembering it wrong, but there's this procedure. Computers use it too in order to compute square roots. Obviously, if you are a mathematics student, what you do is you try to imagine what number could this possibly be the square of, but that's not a procedure. There's an actual step-by-step computation thing goes on. So you can say, like, do this step first, and then after that step, based on the result of the step, either do this or that.
Logic, basically, kind of, right? Like,
I mean, logic is like those words have some vague definitions. That is what creates the problem. But yes, it's a way to convey how to do a procedure step by step. And algorithmic thinking is you look at the problem.
Can I just add a little thing?
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen the video that a guy tries to teach his son what an algorithm is. He says, he asks, tell me the steps to make an peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Cute.
Put the knife in the peanut butter. Then the guy puts the... Okay, I'm
The
sorry,
handle in
continue.
the peanut butter rather than the top of
Yes,
it, right?
not the
Yes.
knife part, but the other parts. But here's the thing. There's a slight difference. Algorithmic thinking means looking at a problem and figuring out steps to solve the problem. Like that's algorithmic thinking. That you look at a problem and you try to figure out what's the ways you would follow in order to solve the problem.
Okay, but
so it's actually like it's not like problem solving ability because well, actually this is very technical. But let me quickly say this: in mathematics, when you are approaching a problem, there are two approaches you can take. One is called analytical and the other is numerical. Analytical basically means you are applying various methods to find a way to describe the answer using the parameters given in the problem. And numerical means you start with numbers in the problem and you try to find numbers that fit the problem description.
okay.
So that's what algorithmic thinking is different to problem solving. Problem solving is finding a solution. Algorithmic thinking is like finding steps that would produce you the answer.
Well,
does that make sense to you?
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm getting from you is this is why they try to teach us logic in middle school.
Actually, let me tell you, there is something that kind of resembles this concept in the high school curriculum. It's geometry. Geometry is more algorithm based. Like you look at a triangle and you, in your head, you know some procedures that can help you make sense of that triangle. And you try to figure out how to use what is given to you in the triangle and apply the steps that you have. You apply various tools that you have to the triangle in order to get the answer you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what that's how you would teach a kid how to do algorithmic thinking by geometry classes.
Which they took out from the curriculum.
Oh yeah, they shut down geometry, right?
There's no geometry class now.
Womp
Yeah,
womp.
they combined it with mathematics. You took mathematics one semester and geometry the next.
I mean, what class is useful and what classes can teach to a kid are always contentious. Like
yeah, and I mean we are not experts on this.
Binali, for instance, you had the class in university. You had the coding class in university. Do you know about algorithmic thinking and problem solving?
No, not because of that class. I had to take a class on algorithms later.
I mean, to me, it always sounds like, you know, those people who say computer games are very good for your hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we will teach kids. Algorithmic thinking ability with coding classes sounds like.
Yeah.
True.
There's something you want to do and there's an excuse. This is an excuse.
I mean, it's so weird though. Like, I mean, it is so weird in that, like you said, it is the excuse to do it. And it's just so weird because like how fast the technology grows versus how unfortunately slow the power shifts from a generation to generation creates this such like this paradoxical even paradoxical relationship where like you said, the people who are pushing for these things have no idea how they actually work or what they are good for.
I mean, I would even go out and say they don't understand what they are.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that.
I'm going to add some things to this, but Elif, maybe you will ask the question, I'm going to answer. So say it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, like, for example, this is for the kids' perspective, right? Like, we want to give a better future for the kids, and the future is the computer, and the computer is coding. So people need to know coding.
This is parents' perspective, I will argue, but
yeah, like overall. But what I don't understand is why now a sociology, like any kind of researcher needs to know coding. Like
Okay.
why social science needs to know coding, why designer needs to know coding, why literature like degree, like film and education degree, why everyone needs to know coding. And that's the part where I get lost. Okay, like for kids, I can kind of say, you learn a little bit of biology, and the coding is a new discipline that's emerging. So like IT in general, like, so that's why we want to give that option for kids to explore when they are young. Cool, whatever. If you can do that, that's amazing. But what I don't understand is I'd already selected my passion or whatever path that I want to get in, and out of nowhere the market is telling me I need to learn coding because it will give me more money. But I don't even know how I'm going to implement this new skill set, let's say, that I learned. Or I'm not even sure if I learned the right language or the right program or the right skill sets. Because like if it's a language, you can learn to write a poem, but you can also learn to write a manual. You can also learn to write an essay. Like these are all different writing styles. So I assume in general, if it's a language, it also has different complex tasking and things that you can do in one coding language.
Mhm.
So everything is so vague, and it makes me really anxious, and I get more lost in it the more I try to understand which one I need to learn. Yeah, so that's the
Okay.
question for you, like why everybody needs to learn, like why now, like why adults needs to learn coding as well, or do they? I don't think they do, but that's the push.
Okay, I have a long answer, but before I give the long answer, maybe you guys also have answers.
No, I was kind of coming from that perspective too. So I would like to hear your answer.
Okay, Izal, do you have any answer for Elif?
I don't.
Okay, then I'm gonna do this long answer, and when I'm doing long answer, I always remember how to do presentations. And in presentations, you should first tell what you are gonna say the thing, and then tell what you have told. And let me start by answering the question in the heart of it. Why do an adult needs to learn about coding? The answer is they don't. And with this out of the way, let me explain.
Cut to credits.
Imagine that there is this green gem. Like it's this mineral. It's green. You can either have it as a necklace or as a ring or like hairband, if that's your thing, earrings. And somebody decided that if an employee has this gem on their body while working, they will work twice as good. And
I just want to say I'm wearing a green gemstone right now.
Yes, that's why you are
As a
twice
necklace.
as good working right now.
You got by the big green gem.
Yeah, indeed. And because they believe in this, they are gonna hire people who are wearing this green gem. And if for some reason they are successful, they make a lot of money, they are gonna ask this person, why do you think your company is very good? And they are gonna say, of course, because of the green gem. Or like they are gonna say something completely else, but some insider information will pop up, even though he says these things, it's the green gem. And then other companies are gonna start doing the green gem thing. And then people are gonna be saying, the parents are gonna be telling their children, you know about this green gem thing. Maybe you should be wearing this green gem while going to job interviews.
Too real.
So they understand that you're a green gem understander and you are a better employee. Or they are gonna say, look, there are 1,000 people applying for this job, and this job is only for 10 people. Under those circumstances, even though we all agree that green gem is useless, you should wear the green gem
just in case,
so that you would be picked out of 1,000 people.
Oh my god.
So, Elif, that's my first answer. Why you as an adult need to learn about coding in order to get high-paying jobs is because coding is a green gem. And people think no matter what you do, because of over the past 20 or 30 years, people who understood computer made a lot of money. But importantly, they weren't fishmongers who understood computers, or like they weren't factory workers, blue collar people who work with a hammer who also knows how to coding. These weren't the people who made money, but the coding people who did codes earned a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now everybody in every business believes that coding is a green gem. And if they hire a person who can do coding, obviously the person who knows how to code is a smart, super great person.
Yeah.
So even if they are not actively coding, they are.
So sorry, but like that sentence that you said, like knowing code is directly kind of indicates this person is smart.
Yeah, that's exactly, because it's a green gem. And if you want to get hired, you need to wear a green gem to job interviews. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
Or even if you, in the same workplace, if you are a person who gets hired and you have a green gem, you can negotiate a better salary because you can say, look, I have this green gem. I can go anywhere and find a job. So if you want me to stay here, you need to give me more money because of this green gem. Like, look at this other person. Look at Pamela, who is working in the same place. She is garbage. She doesn't have green gem. You should give me more money so that I would stay and do the same job because I can go somewhere else and earn more.
Well, where's the breaking point then?
I mean,
how far this perception goes? Because from what you say, even if it's not reality, like even if the coding does not actually make you a better higher than the other person, because the perception is that, because the perception of green gem is there, it actually does that. Like it actually gets you hired. So where's the breaking point where this is gonna stop being real?
By the way, this is what happens with the politicians too. They are saying we are gonna give all of your children green gems.
Yeah.
So they will make more money. Or obviously green gem will be so inflated nobody will care, which is one of the possible breakpoints, by the way.
Okay.
And you know, in Turkey we had this perception when I was a kid: if you know English, you will be very successful in life. And now everybody knows English, so they are saying if you know English and a few other languages, you will be very successful.
I
would like to interject there as someone who is in translation. Everybody knows English is not a correct statement about our country.
I mean, it is just that people don't. If you know English, you are just base level person. It's not a green gem anymore.
Yeah.
It's more like pants. Like just similar to how you should wear pants to work, you should know English to work. But let me tell you something else though, because in order to understand the answer to your question, Binali, where is the breaking point? We need to understand how this all started. And how this all started was in the 80s. There was this cool machine called a personal computer that you can use. And it had only a console that you can write things into. And it essentially required you to code in order to use it all. Like you needed to understand coding to a certain extent in order to operate this machine. Obviously, we know that Apple exists. In fact, we talk about it in our show quite often. And because Apple exists, what they did was they thought this is silly. This machine, you don't have to know coding in order to operate this machine. This machine can be made in such a way that you can do the things you want to do without the coding part.
Yeah.
So they started developing the graphical user interfaces and they made all these different types of things that a common person would use without knowing anything to code. And they essentially made a different concept of a computer. And it became something that everybody would own and everybody would be able to use, regardless of whether they know computing or not. I mean, you guys are all using computers right now, right?
Yes.
While recording this episode, we are using these sound processing things to edit episode. We have a website front kind of thing. We are doing RSS feeds. Like, do you have any idea how you would put an RSS feed to the internet without that middle guy?
No way.
Nope.
Not even a clue.
No way, but the middle guy does exist. And Binali, that's your answer. Coding is often a worthless thing to have because middle guy exists and middle guy is very easily available.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if you know how to code, you can do everything that Microsoft Word can do with a console.
Yeah.
But you don't have to because Microsoft Word exists. And I am imagining one of the breakpoints is that everybody knows coding and something else becomes cool, possibly something AI related. And alternative would be that unemployment decreases so that you won't have to select people based on green gem. Any person would become valuable enough.
UBI.
Oh yeah, UBI is another way to make sure that 1,000 people don't apply for 10% jobs.
Yeah. People don't feel the push to learn things they don't need
in order to make them a better job market person.
In order to survive.
Now that we kind of mentioned it our previous episodes as well, the ChatGPT thingy AI's writing codes. Do you think at some point in the future can AI create like a whole new way of writing, like a new language of coding?
I am gonna try to make this sound as friendly as I possibly can. I hope the audience will appreciate this.
Oh no.
Now I'm gonna explain to you what coding is.
Yes.
Are you ready, Elif? So I'm gonna change your life today.
Okay.
You see, what coding is essentially going back to Izel's cousin example. You know how Izel's cousin needed water and he used Izel to get the water?
Yes.
And Izel used an algorithm to get cousin the water.
Yes.
So Izel isn't actually the algorithm. Izel is the computer. The cousin is the computer programmer who programmed Izel to fetch him some water. And what this translates is you as a person in your job or in your life, you need to do things. Like you need to maybe calculate few values. Maybe you need to do a cartwheel that chooses Eurovision countries to pick in order to determine the order of listening to them. Stuff like that. Or you are trying to maybe schedule a meeting, that kind of things. And one thing you can do is you can go and talk to everyone and use a pen and paper and do stuff like that. Or you can persuade a computer to do that for you. That's coding. So you have a job that you need to do. You have a thing that you need to do. And one way of doing it is getting help from a computer. And that's what you do with coding. Coding is your way of persuading a computer to do your job for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on what kind of job you are trying to do. Like if you are trying to calculate a large amount of numbers, computer is going to do it better than you. If you have 3 pictures and you are trying to determine which one has a dog in it, you are better at it than computer. Like it would be more efficient for you to just do it. Usually, simple repetitive tasks are easily done by computer. Repetition is a computer's greatest strength. Computer can do same thing multiple times much easier than you can with similar quality. But that's what coding is. It's a way to persuade a computer to do your work for you.
I just want to give an anecdotal code quickly. It was about my friend's roommate who was looking for a new room in Berlin. And the market is really really, I don't know how to phrase it. It's just really bad at this point. It's almost impossible to find a new place. And he used a computer.
I think 2 episodes ago we talked
about Yeah, he used a computer he automized everything. So what happened basically from this 2 website, he was getting all the new leases and new places. And the computer was able to understand what was the demands, and then it was just giving the classical answer that he always did it himself automatically. And this way he was able to apply like hundreds of room or houses. and at some point he noticed that he was applying too much, so he created this like red ones, yellow ones, and green ones. So depending on the type of house that was on the market, he was also categorizing them so that the computer won't apply to the red ones per se, because it was out of the budget or not in the place that he wanted to live and sort. So even while you were explaining to me, I was thinking right now almost everybody uses computer. And does that mean then we need to learn coding to make our lives quite like a little bit easier so that we can talk with the computer and make things automated, like this guy is doing with his life?
No, what I'm essentially saying is, if you are trying to use a computer to do something, and if a large number of people are trying to do it at the same time, somebody is going to come up with a way that makes it easier for you without any coding.
I mean, think of like
the whole business of internet websites and mobile applications is things that a large number of people would want and would be willing to pay for, that they would be too lazy to code themselves.
I mean, think of like website creation websites.
Yeah.
You don't nowadays you don't go and learn coding to make a website. You go to a website creation website to make it from there. So it's like that. But I think the most important question about coding and AI is, will AI one day will be able to binary encode?
Yeah, exactly. That was the main question that I was trying to ask at the beginning. Like, can AI create its own way of writing a code?
Did we explain what binary means?
We should, yeah. But so, Elif, your answer is yes. AI will one day take over most of the coding, because most of the coding is just used like in a computer language like Python, for instance. There is a way to tell a computer how to fetch the information from a website. And in ChatGPT, there is a way to tell a computer to fetch information from a website.
Yeah.
So obviously they are doing the same thing. And I mean, people won't use AI to write codes that does the thing they want. People are going to use AI to do the things that they would otherwise be using coding for.
Got it.
So it's like horses won't pull cars. Cars will be the horses.
But we will still say horsepower.
Yeah. And by the way, doing a binary is when you don't know how to do something using the necessary
functions,
computer language information functions, you do it in a way that would still work, but would be very messy. In the particular example, what Binali didn't know was for loops and how to do a loop. And the problem was to look at numbers, and if they are prime numbers, do something, and if they are not prime numbers, do something else.
I think it was even or odd,
so
actually.
He wrote a if condition tree that says if the number is 1, do this, if the number is 2, do other thing, and so on, for 100 values.
Yeah, and I got 100. So you know what?
Yeah, because I mean, it works. The other thing makes it look neater, but if you know that you are only gonna get numbers from 1 to 100,
yeah,
that problem too, that method 2 produces the exact same result, and at that point it doesn't matter. It's in the box. When something is in the box and is working, nobody needs to look at what's inside the box.
The spaghetti code, right?
Spaghetti code is something else, but well, it's not spaghetti code, but yes, spaghetti code is similar. It's in the box, so it doesn't matter type of thing.
Cool. I will quickly just look into LinkedIn courses to see if I can learn coding.